Hello everyone, I hope everything is going well with you. So today's lesson is about addition and concession. Specifically, we're going to talk about the expressions used for addition, expressions used for concession, and then we will have a look at some structural changes. So let's have a look at these examples. The organization helps poor people. In addition, it provides medical care. Along with providing medical care, the organization helps poor people. The organization not only helps poor people, but it also provides medical care. The organization provides help as well as medical care. And the last example says the organization aims at helping people as well as providing medical care. So let's have a look at the expressions of additions using these examples. In the first example, we used in addition. In the second example, we used along with. In the third example, we used not only but also. And then in the last two examples, we used as well as. So these are some of the expressions that are used for addition or for the purpose of addition. Now let's have a look at the purpose or the use of these expressions. So it says, expressions of addition are used to add another idea that does not contradict with the first one. What does this mean? It means that the idea that these expressions add does not contradict with the first idea. Let's have a look at the first example. The organization helps poor people. This is the first idea. And then we have it provides medical care. This is the second idea. So these two ideas do not contradict. In fact, they are complementary, which means they, in a sense, serve the same purpose. So we combine them using in addition. Now let's have a look at some expressions of addition. We have moreover, also, in addition, further, as well as, besides, not only, but also. And notice that moreover and also and some other expressions are followed by a comma, which means that these expressions are used to link clauses. Now let's talk about some structural changes. Now let's have a look at these examples. We have along with providing medical care, the organization helps poor people. And along with the establishment of the ITM Association, Fred funded other projects in the area. So the expression that is used for addition is along with. Now let's examine these examples. The first example, along with, it is followed by a given structure. What is it? It's providing medical care. So providing is a gerund. So along with should be followed always by a gerund. Or as the second example says, along with the establishment of the ITM Association. So here along with is followed by a noun. So along with is always followed by a gerund or a noun. A gerund is a verb plus ing. The problem that most of the students face is how to combine two clauses using an expression that is followed by a noun or a gerund. So here I will give you some steps that you can follow in order to combine these sentences using these expressions. So the first thing that you should do is to underline the subject and the verb. So we have the example, he is a doctor, he is a researcher. So in the first clause, where is the subject? The subject is he, and the verb is, all right, the verb to be. So what we do is that we start with along with. Then we write the subject, but notice that he changes to him. So subject pronouns change to object pronouns. For example, I changes to me, she changes to her, they changes to them. Alright, so along with him. Then we must transfer the verb into a gerund. So the ing form of the verb is as being. So along with him, being a doctor, he is a researcher. So always remember, first thing, determine the subject and the verb. You start with along with, and then you write the subject. If it is a proper noun, it does not change. But if it is a pronoun, you change it to object pronoun. Then the next thing that follows is the verb in the ing form, and then the rest of the sentence. بمعنى دور نختار الجملة خصها ديك نستعمل along with. إذن along with تتبع gerund نغد noun. So باش نسمو نبدا الجمل أول حاجة تتنسير هي نتحدد subject then الفعل. Okay, so we start with along with, then بدوس along with. دور نغتيري دغن he is a pronoun. So les pronoun يورنا لان subject pronoun زاتني تحولت object pronoun. So object pronoun he is him. Okay, then نستبع الفعل. الفعل خصها تنحول ديك السيرة دان ing. So the verb is ing is being, and then we write the rest of the sentence, which is a doctor, he is a researcher. Now imagine that we have, instead of he, we have she. So we say along with her being a doctor, she is a researcher. Now let's move on to the expression as well as. The organization provides help as well as medical care. And then we have the organization aims at helping people as well as providing medical care. So the expression that is used is as well as. Now in the first example, as well as is used to combine two nouns, okay? A noun plus a noun. And in the second example, we have helping people, which is a gerund, and as well as is used to combine it with another gerund. So we say that as well as is used to combine a noun with another noun or a gerund with another gerund, but not both in one sentence. Let's have a look at this example. The organization aims at helping people as well as medical care. So notice that we used as well as to combine a gerund and a noun, and this is wrong. It is incorrect. Why? Because here we combined a gerund with a noun, and it should not be so. So if you have a gerund first, you combine it with a gerund. If you have a noun, you combine it with a noun. Now let's talk about concession. Despite being rich, he lives in an old house. He lives in an old house although he is rich. He is rich, however, he lives in an old house. In spite of him being rich, he lives in an old house. Now, let's try to determine the expressions of concession that are used in these examples. So in the first one we have despite. In the second, it's although. Then, however. Then, in spite of. So, these are the expressions used for concession. Let's try to define concession. Concession expresses a sort of contradiction in sentences. What does this mean? Now let's have a look at this sentence. He lives in an old house, although he is rich. Now look at this. He is rich and he lives in an old house. There is a sort of contradiction in this. Normally, if a person is rich, he should live in a new house, or at least a good one, right? But here we have he is rich and lives in an old house. So we use these expressions to link two ideas which, in a sense, contradict each other. Now, here are some expressions of concession. We have however, despite, although, even though, yet, despite, and still. Now let's have a look at some structural changes. it's the same as what we have done with along with. So we have, despite the watch being expensive, he bought it. And then, despite the high price, he bought the watch. So the expression that we use is despite. Now look, despite is followed by what in the first example? We have the watch being expensive. So being, it's a gerund. So here despite can be followed by a gerund. In the second example, we have despite the high price. The high price is a noun. So despite can be followed by a noun or a gerund. Also in spite of, despite and in spite of have the same structural changes. Now let's have a look at this example. We have he injured his leg, he finished the marathon. So we need to, or we want to combine these two sentences using despite. So it's the same as we have done with along with. The first thing that we start with is highlighting the subject, then the verb. Then we write despite. Now he is a subject pronoun. It should change to an object pronoun. So him. So despite him. Then we have the verb. So this verb, we should add the ing or the gerund form, and the gerund form of injured is injuring, right? His leg, comma, he finished the marathon. So this is it. Despite him injuring his leg, he finished the marathon. Now let's have a look at these examples. The question says, the instruction says, combine the following sentences using the given expressions. We have, he committed a crime, he did not go to jail. So the answer should be, despite him committing a crime, he did not go to jail. So try to do the same for the rest of the examples, and I will be providing answers in the description.